let's jump in and talk about personal protective equipment. And one of the things I want to talk about today on this is just raising awareness to why it's important, and talk about some things that reasons why people won't wear it, and sometimes how we get hurt and injured from not wearing a simple piece of equipment in the workplace. And so it is an important thing that we need to do. So let's see. So we want to make sure that we know what PPE is. What is it? Well, it's a piece of equipment. It's a barrier between us and a hazard. And sometimes it's known as the last line of defense because it's the last thing that we wear that protects us from getting injured. And it could be an example of, for example, we're not wearing our safety glasses and something gets into our eye or hits into the eye, and it's a really preventable thing that we could have prevented, but we just didn't put on the glasses. And it's just that simple barrier. It's not hard to put on a pair of gloves or a hard hat. It's not a hard thing, but it just takes the effort and the awareness of the importance to do that. So we need to have PPE available. We need to make sure that we're using it. It should be there for us to use as we're doing our jobs. So that's one of the things we want to look for. And that's one of the problems people run into is they just simply get complacent and don't wear it sometimes. There's lots of different types of PPE. There's eye and face, there's head protection, all kinds of other protections there as well. Gloves, respiratory protection, hearing protection, whole body protection, such as a Tyvek suit or an apron or coveralls. There's lots of different types of pieces of equipment that you can get and protect different parts of your body based on the hazard and things that you're working around. Just an awareness on that there's a whole bunch of types out there. There's limitations to it. And I like this picture a lot because it shows this guy, he's doing his job. He's really focused on it. He is wearing some eye protection, but he's not wearing it properly. And he's got it up on top of his hat there where it's not protecting his eyes. Not only that, but he's got splash goggles on instead of safety glasses or maybe even a face shield that would be better for flying particles of wood that he's cutting. So non-use is a limitation that gets in the way that often leads to injury. Not using it the right way. Sometimes things break down over time. They wear out or they degrade. So not taking care of them, not using them and wearing them properly is a big factor involved in all of that. So that's one thing we can learn from. So we need to make sure that we are selecting the right kind of personal protective equipment. And one of the best ways to do this is first just look at your job, look at the task, and find out, okay, what is it and what's the hazard that could get me? What am I working around? What chemical? What, is there anything that could be airborne? Is there anything I need to protect my hands from? It's just looking at that and doing that evaluation to decide, okay, here's what I need. Here's the hazard. Here's the PPE that I need to protect myself. And there's lots of ways to find the right information. There's many different types of PPE. For example, with gloves, there's so many different types of gloves, whether it's Kevlar, leather, nitrile, chemical gloves, different chemical resistant gloves. There's guides and there's experts out there that you can go to. I like to go to good vendors. Find a good vendor that knows their information, that can get you the right products, the right protective equipment, and find what you need to protect yourself. Because there really are many different types out there, sizes, shapes, different materials that make up the best for what you need. So worker's responsibility, well, it's up to the worker to wear PPE when required, and there's actually an OSHA standard on that says employees are required to follow the employer's policies and procedures in the workplace, and that could be including the wearing of the right PPE for the job and the task that they're doing. So we need to make sure that we have it. We need to make sure that we're wearing it correctly. And this motorcyclist here, as you can see, has the helmet on backwards, not going to give the right adequate protection if she were to fall and hit her head. So we need to be trained on that, and we need to know to wear it and wear it the right way. So employees should be taking care of their PPE, keeping it clean, keeping it in good areas and sanitary, and making sure that it's ready to go before they use it. One of the best things you can do is just inspect your PPE every day. It's really simple. Pick up that hard hat, take a look at it, see if there's any cracks or deterioration in it, see if the webbing's broken. Check all those things out before you go to use it, and it might save you an injury. Same with your gloves and your glasses and all other types of PPE. Just give it a good look over, make sure that it's ready to go. And some PPE is a one-time use type of equipment. So for example, some gloves will say these are good for one-time use. And if that's the case, throw it away when you're done. Don't reuse it. Don't use things that are going to break down or degrade. and not give you the protection that you need. So follow the instructions, and a good inspection each day is something that can help you before you go to wear that stuff. When it comes to training, the employer is required to train employees on when they should be using the PPE for what tasks, when it's necessary, the type that's necessary to wear, how to properly put it on or take it off, any limitations with it that it may not protect from, and then the proper care, maintenance, and disposal of the used PPE. So those are things that you should train employees on so they know where it is, they know how to use it, they know how to protect themselves with the right equipment. And then it's up to the employee from there to do their part to wear it and make sure they're wearing it safely. So what's the most important type of PPE? Well, if we were to ask, I would say it's probably protecting your eyes. Eye injuries are very common. A lot of times it's particles and fragments, things that go airborne, metal shavings, wood shavings, things that can get into your eye that become painful. And your eyes are a critical thing that you need to work safely each day to be able to see what you're doing and focus on your task and to be safe. So I would say protecting your eyes is probably one of the most important things that you can do. Having safety glasses, especially for those that work outside of an office environment, it's highly recommended. You should have a pair of safety glasses available and should be wearing them where you need to. But the eyes are one of the most important things that you want to protect. When it comes to eye protection, they need to cover the front and the sides of your eyes. You'll notice that safety glasses actually wrap around the side of your eyes, not just the front, but also the sides to protect you there. There's a rating on safety glasses, which is an ANSI rating, that's Z87. And to know if that's the right kind of safety glasses and material, you can see that rating. It's often engraved on the inside frame of the glasses, or sometimes it's etched into the actual lens part of the glass. And you can look at your safety glasses, see, and make sure it's got a good rating there for that with the Z87. When it comes to prescription glasses, sometimes people think they're safe to just wear those because that's what they need to see and read and do what they do. But in reality, it doesn't offer protection. The sides are often open. And so you may want to have a combination of putting maybe some safety goggles over the top of your prescription glasses, or you can actually purchase safety glasses that are prescription grade. You can get those purchased as well. Um, but you may want a face shield as well for certain tasks if you have flying particles, such as if you're using a grinding wheel or having metal shavings that can fly around. You're going to want to have your safety glasses on in combination with a face shield over the top. And for some situations, that is required actually to have both safety glasses and the face shield together to adequately protect you. So the key is have them available. Make sure you have the right kind and that you're protecting yourself. When it comes to head protection, there's different types of hard hats. You may not have known this, but there's two types. There's some that are specifically for a drop hazard, and there's some that are also for lateral impacts. So type 1 and 2, you can see there for those. There's also different classes. There's a type G general duty, which is good for up to certain electrical voltages, offering protection from that, and also from falling object protection that could impact the top of your head. There's some specifically for electrical work with different voltages, and some are not offering electrical protection at all. So oftentimes it's just a general duty hard hat that you're going to have, but there are different types if you need specialized hard hats for those. You may not know this or not, but inside of every hard hat, if you take your hard hat, turn it upside down, and look inside in the top of it, you'll see a sticker like this and labels in there that tell you where the hard hat came from, who manufactured it, and there's also a date in there. This one has a date actually typed on this label, but some have a little dial in there that show the year and the month that it was manufactured. Hard hats actually do expire, and usually it's about every 5 years or so you want to be changing those out, but it's based on what their manufacturer recommends, and they will indicate that when it's time for a new hard hat. So take a look at your hard hats, turn them over, see if they're time to change out or if they're good to go. And then it will also show you other information as far as the type and class of hard hat. And it has an ANSI rating as well. It's a Z89 rating on this one for a hard hat. So those are things you want to check for on your hard hats when you do an inspection on those. Foot protection is another big thing. We see foot injuries often. Sometimes it's injury from walking and not having the right kind of footwear. And there's actually a standard on this information out there too. It's a ASTM standard. It's a performance specification standard for footwear. It's the F2413 standard, and you will see this on the safety boots and foot protection requirements. It will be either on the label inside of the tongue of the shoe, or it will be possibly in the box or information from the manufacturer on that. But you want to get that information and make sure you have good shoes, good safety toe boots that you need. Some are a steel toe, some are a composite toe. There's lots of different options. There's advantages to those. The soles are different. The traction, the tread is different. They have different fits. Some have better ankle support than others. But you want to make sure you have some good, comfortable shoes, get the right style that you need, and protect yourself from the hazards you're working around. Same with hearing protection. One of the biggest things that we see is these are things that people just get complacent with, and they don't wear the hearing protection. They don't put the earplugs in. They don't go get the earmuffs. They leave them in the truck or they leave them in the shop, and they sometimes don't get used. And oftentimes they're not cared for. Sometimes these get dirty and they don't keep them in a clean place, and so they don't wear them because they're dirty. Well, these are things you need to have. These need to be available. If you think about your hearing, you don't want to lose your hearing and have to deal with that for the rest of your life. You don't want to have those things deteriorate and struggle with that. When you're working around loud noises and need this protection, it's important to have it. So have it there, know how to use it, know how to put it on and off, and don't be afraid to use it. With respiratory protection, there's even more detail to this, but I'll just talk about two of the major types of respiratory protection equipment that there is. So there's an air supplying and there's an air purifying type of respirator. So if we were to ask a question, which one of these two pictures is the air supplying? If you chose the one on the left, you are correct. The air supplying has the oxygen tank on the guy's back with grade D breathing air, and it supplies oxygen so you can go and work inside a toxic environment and still have the oxygen that you need. The difference between the other one, and here's a picture of that one, is the purifying respirator, is it does not provide oxygen. It only filters out the contaminants in the work environment that you're in. And so you have to have the right kind of filter, the right canister, the right cartridge to adequately filter those out so that you're not breathing in some harmful toxic things in the air. And so part of that's where your selection guide and your experts come into play, that you can rely on to make sure that you do get the right kind of cartridge, that you do get the right protection, filtering out those things that are harmful to breathe. But again, this does not supply oxygen. It only lets you work in an area and filters it out so that you're not breathing in the bad stuff. If you need more information on respiratory protection, we actually have another specialized webinar on this that goes into even a lot more detail, and there's other webinars we have as well, but this is just kind of a basic overview of the basic types of respiratory protection. So even a dust mask like this one, if it's a filtering face piece, it is also known as a particulate respirator, and it does fall under the same requirements for respiratory protection. You'll see there's different ratings. This one's an N95, and that is an indication of the level of protection from the particulates that it gives you. So the higher the number, the better the protection. And you can see they're usually 95, 99, or 100. But get the right kind, get what you need, and know how you need to be protected there. If you're working around traffic, there are requirements for reflective equipment, reflective vests, and clothing that you need to wear. This is for working around traffic at night, in the dark, even in the daylight, or even around large, heavy construction equipment. You're going to want to have some good reflective material. And that just allows you to be seen easier from nearby traffic or equipment operators. They need to be able to see you as you're walking around, and it's really helpful for that. So the requirement is that you have either a class 2 or a class 3 reflective material vest or clothing on. And what that is that's the amount of, there's a certain amount of reflective material that's on that vest, and that's what makes it a class 2 or 3. So working around those things, make sure you do have the right kind of vest for working in those areas. So one thing you need to know is, what part of your job are you at risk? Each day, the places you work, what PPE might you need to protect yourself? What hazards are there? Is it gloves? Is it goggles? Is it hard hats? What is it? What do I need? And then what do I need to do to protect myself? That's what it's all about. When it comes to PPE, that's part of it. It's just doing an assessment and making sure we get the right stuff, that we have the right PPE to use. And again, the hardest part that people often miss is just not wearing it. So That's the critical thing we want to raise awareness to today is have it, make sure you wear it, make sure you wear it the right way. Don't cut corners because it's not worth losing an eye. It's not worth burning your hands. It's not worth having slivers or cuts or getting injured on the job. It's just not worth that. Don't be afraid to have your equipment and wear it the right way. And to do that, we just have to take action. We have to be aware, take action, and make it a priority in all that we do to keep ourselves safe. And that's the message today I hope to raise awareness to. Is there any questions out there, Jason?
Folks, if you got any questions, go ahead and type those into the chat box. I'm not seeing any right now, so we'll give people just a second to put their questions in there. Boy, this is an important topic. You know, so many jobs that we do out there, it may, it seems like, oh, it's a hassle. I have to put my safety glasses on, or I have to go and find the gloves or whatever. Boy, take the time to do that. I had an experience when I was in college. I was working as a metal fabricator, and we had they were doing a collection to get some money to help one of our coworkers who this person had lost an eye earlier in life, and then he was working on his car, under his car, prying with a screwdriver, and the screwdriver popped out of his hand and jabbed into his other eye, and didn't have his safety glasses on. And it's just, ever since then, that's just made me kind of made me cringe over something like that. Something as simple as safety glasses can take that really important thing. The question we have: are there any safety glasses that are tinted?
There are. Yes, there's some that are made for different applications, indoor, outdoor. They have different levels of tint on them. You can select different types. But just keep in mind, you want to have good visibility. You don't want to have something in a dark environment that are tinted. So just a matter of having the right one, and you can have several options to use for those.
Yeah, even glasses that will reduce glare for working on a computer screen. So they have those kind of blue light glasses and that in a safety frame. So, well, it looks like those are all the questions that we have today. Doug, we didn't hear from you the first time. You got anything to add?
No, I just would kind of emphasize the importance that the employer needs to select the right PPE for the job. And so there's some tools available out there that help you make sure you're picking the right kind of glove or the right kind of hard hat or whatever it may be. And so, obviously, if you have any questions about what the proper PPE is for, different jobs or tasks in your organization, give us a call. We'd love to help out with that. But, we can also make available to you some examples of these personal protective equipment selection guides that can help you choose the right thing.
Awesome. Brent.
Everybody have a safe day. Be safe out there.